All right, it looks like we're good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, the last manga reaction for today. So let's go ahead and get cracking, shall we? Yo, peoples! Qushu92 here. Welcome back to more Sakamoto Days. And I have it properly set to low latency so I can respond to you guys quicker this time than I did last time to what it was set to. So we're good here. But welcome back to more Sakamoto Days. Firstly, let me just thank every person here for basically tuning in. You didn't have to, but I just want to say how much I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy and very important day to just see what I'm doing. But today, we get to continue. We get to continue with more Sakamoto Days after Shin defeats Tanabata, leaving the only other adversary to take care of being Uzuki himself. So let's see what happens. Good to see you, Henry. Good to see you, Halster. Let's see what happens in days 263, Awakening. And Tanabata is unconscious. Just flat out unconscious, bleeding from the nose, bleeding from the mouth, unconscious. And the crowd, after witnessing this, is just like screaming, "Woo! Encore! Encore!" And then Shin just drops off of the stage. Because the rest of the civilians seem to think for some reason that Shin is a part of the party that was a part of the group that was happening, the part of the band that was happening, sorry. Part of the band of what was going on, and he just hops off, and the people are going, "Huh? What about the show? You guys, be sure to see a doctor." And then Shin walks into an alleyway by himself and he starts stumbling. And it shows his arm bleeding. And then he just slumps against the wall. "My whole body aches. My head's throbbing. I overused my powers. My left ear's gone totally deaf." Oh, these are the side effects of what he did. I actually thought that his ESP ascended to a point where he could grab multiple people's all at once. But no, he forced that. He overextended. He overclocked. And he just starts laughing. "But I did it, Mr. Sakamoto. I beat the order by myself. So maybe I'm catching up to you. Just a little." "I'm an idiot. It's not over yet. Just wait, Mr. Sakamoto. I'll be right there." And Shin closes his eyes and he just slumps over. So Shin is currently out of commission right now. And now we haven't seen Kashima in ages. We get Kashima. First Haruma, then Carolina Reaper, then Oki, Kumanomi, Gozu, and even Tanabata, which leaves Master X. The only remaining blade of the new JAA is you. I want you to save Master X. Sakamoto, I don't like relying on that jerk, but at this point I have no option but to trust him. Don't let me down, Taro Sakamoto. And while Kashima's sitting there inside of this big room that's basically showing all that's going on, someone walks up behind Kashima. There's no way. There is no way. There is no way. There is no way. There is no way. The person who walks up behind Kashima is Gaku! Gaku is alive! What? Gaku is alive! We haven't seen Gaku since he was allegedly now cut down by Sakamoto during the museum assassination arc. That's how long it's been. This was before Asaki was killed by his brother and the JAA was taken over. We haven't seen Gaku since then. You mean to tell me he's alive? And here I was thinking like, oh, the only adversary we have to worry about is Uzuki. And then we see that Gaku is actually alive. Here's the thing. Gaku's a problem. Gaku is actually a problem. If he's physically able to fight, he's a problem. He is actually a problem. But Kashima spins around and he goes, Gaku, you're awake? And it shows apparently the bed that he was sitting on, where he was, I guess, bleeding out before he was tended to. And Gaku's just looking like, the new JAA? The heck's that? Because he's been out of the loop concerning everything that's been going on with, you know, the JAA and Uzuki and everything. After the battle at the museum, Master X absorbed the JAA and launched the new JAA. Thanks to the Sakamoto store staff and some former older members, only Master X is left. Where's Gramps? But, huh? The old fart who took me out. He's still alive, ain't he? No. Takamura is dead. Master X killed him. And then Gaku's looking bewildered. Gaku? And then Gaku stares at Uzuki. So, you're in there, huh, Gramps? No, Gaku ain't thinking of fighting Uzuki so he can settle the score with Takamura. There is no way that Gaku is looking at Uzuki like, okay, I'm gonna need to throw hands with your Takamura self in there so I can finally settle this score with the old man. There is no way that Gaku is looking at him like that. So you're in there, huh, Gramps? How did he know? How did he know X has a Takamura persona within? And Kashima takes out what looks to be a gun out of his sleeve. Mr. Kashima, I'm sorry, Gaku. I can't let you go to where Sakamoto is now. I need you to sleep a little longer. And Gaku looks at him, and then we immediately cut over to Nagumo and Shishiba. And they're just taking out all these order members like they're not, these JAA agents like they're nothing. Well, I figured they'd know where I live. Oh, this is Nagumo's house! Nagumo got a nice looking place. Well, I figured they'd know where I live. This is your place? I've got about 30 more rooms like this. I don't use this one much. Too small. You and Osaragi can hide out here for a while. I got all the basic supplies you need. What? You trying to insult me? You can't move it, right? Your left arm. And Nagumo picks up that Shishiba actually can't move his left arm. That Gozu guy was pretty tough. Oh, I tried to make a bolognese, but it didn't come out right. It's in the fridge. Help yourself. You should be fine eating one-handed with a spoon. I'll pass. What about you? When you fought Mr. Oki, he busted your weapon, right? Now what? And Nagumo pulls back like this little book on the bookshelf and a secret room opens up, and it shows that Nagumo has multiple spares of his weapon that Oki destroyed. He thought ahead. No sweat, I got a lot of spares. Sheesh, you're annoying. And Nagumo's just looking at his trick weapon like his spare. He has spares. He has spares. So, you're going after X. Well, I'd feel bad dumping everything on Sakamoto. And mind you, Nagumo is saying this, but he's thinking of Rion. I'll end this. And then we cut to an amusement park. A very okay, you don't see roller coasters in manga this detailed. You see the shading of the lighting because it's the night sky. you see the shading of the lighting of the coloring and the coloring on this roller coaster, including every individual pipe, every individual curve. This is an incredibly detailed manga drawing of a roller coaster. And it shows a merry-go-round. It shows like the ride where you're in a seat and it swings you high up in the air. I will never get on one of those. It shows yeah, like I said, the Ferris wheel and that same high-rise contraption. And while that's going, Uzuki and Sakamoto are continuing their fight, and it shows them both staring at each other. And that's when we get a to be continued. I'm sorry, you mean to tell me this is the chapter where Gaku apparently is confirmed to be alive? Because we saw him get slashed, but I thought he died. But he's actually alive. Gaku is alive, but he's also looking to settle the score with Takamura. And apparently, he's able to tell that the Takamura personality is inside of Uzuki. But then again, this does not confirm that. Here's the thing. Halster, you said so the Takamura personality isn't gone. No, what this tells me is that being able to absorb personalities and replicate them completely is something Gaku knows Uzuki can do. But he doesn't know that Sakamoto has gotten rid of the Takamura personality. Because in this last panel, Uzuki is fighting Sakamoto, but Uzuki is fighting Sakamoto with his chain whip, not with a sword. So this all but confirms that the Takamura personality is fully gone. Gaku doesn't know that though. He's only going off of what Kashima just said. X absorbed the Takamura into himself after the events of the museum. Yeah, after the battle at the museum, Master X absorbed the JAA and launched the new JAA. No, actually, no. Kashima doesn't even confirm to Gaku that the Takamura personality is in Uzuki. Sorry, I read the wrong panel. No, Gaku just knows that that's something Uzuki can do, but he doesn't know that the Takamura personality is gone. He knows Uzuki can copy personalities to, take on those strengths. He knows that he's able to do that. But Kashima doesn't know. Kashima wasn't there to see Sakamoto saying like, hey, you're already dead, beat it. The Takamura personality is gone. It's gone. Otherwise, Uzuki would be using a sword right now. But that's gone. Gaku doesn't know it though. And he's giving Uzuki the eyes of someone like, you and I, we're about to run hands. Because I want to settle the score with Takamura. That's the way Gaku is looking. And out of everyone from Alkamar, the people I think are the absolute strongest is Uzuki, Tenkyu, and Gaku. All those three. Everyone else, Haruma, Carolina Reaper, Kumanomi, every single person that sided with X and is also from Alkamar, they're strong, but they're not those three people strong. Uzuki, Tenkyu, and Gaku. And Gaku is eyeing Uzuki as if he wants to fight him, so he can beat the Takamura personality to fully say that he won. So while Gaku is back in commission right now, it remains to be seen if if he intends to fight. And mind you, Kashima wants to put him back to sleep again. Because he doesn't want Gaku interfering. Especially against this deciding battle between Uzuki and Sakamoto. He does not want him getting in the midst of that. But Gaku wants to go there and fight. And the last thing we get from Gaku is Gaku giving Kashima the eyes of like, oh, so you want to run hands? You know you can't beat me. If you try, I'll break you down even further than you already are. Because Kashima's body is still on tank treads that, Hana put him on. He's still on the tank tread body setup. He doesn't have new legs or anything. But Gaku's giving him that eye like, oh, so you want to try and stop me? Huh. I don't think I can actually allow you to do that. But it remains to be seen if that's the case. It's interesting Kashima wants Sakamoto to save Uzuki. I like that. I like it too. He acknowledges that I don't want to root for you. I don't like relying on that jerk, but at this point I have no option but to trust him. Don't let me down, Taro Sakamoto. Now, when I saw that foot, when I saw that foot come in on the panel, I was thinking, there's no way Tenkyu found out where they were. There's absolutely no way he found out where they were. But no, it's Gaku. I'm still shocked that he survived because Takamura slashed to kill. And that same slash killed Haruma. Because Gaku and Haruma were caught up in the same slash, but Gaku's the only one who lived. Hold on, I gotta find that same panel. Where is that? Where? I gotta find that chapter. It's not 52. No. No. It's the one where Haruma was included. Let me see if I can find it. Gaku, Haruma, Uzuki, Nagumo, and Sakamoto versus Takamura. That was chapter 163 to 168. I believe 168 was the one where Haruma died. So let me go back to that one. Because I need to see that slash that apparently I thought was the one that completely took out Gaku. They're both going to go after Uzuki, and they're both going to run into each other, and their round 2 is going to begin. That's my theory. Oh, wait, hold on. You know what I think? Gaku and Nagumo are going to run into each other. Going to begin my theory. That way, they both head out, but are unable to interfere with the battle. Okay, so chapter 168 was the introduction of Oki. Okay, so I need to go back one. I need to go back to chapter 165, possibly. Okay. Yeah. Chapter 165 ends with Gaku trying to square up against Takamura, who just casually just blocks him. So the next chapter, chapter 166, is when the fight begins in earnest. Yeah. This is the same chapter where Takamura speaks for the first time and he thinks, "You think I'm senile, don't you?" Shocking everyone. Then he slices off his own hand. He slices off his own arm, a cut so clean, and then reattaches his arm back, grabs onto his sword, and goes, "Seriously, this world is full of scumbags who don't deserve to live. So, my apologies. I was wrong. I was fundamentally wrong. It's not the slash that kills Haruma that Gaku was caught in. No, Haruma was just basically cut to pieces instantly. And that's what ended chapter 166. Chapter 167. Chapter 167 is when Gaku actually tried to fight Takamura, and not only was his weapon sliced through, but Gaku caught Takamura's sword in his teeth while also scarring his face. That's the reason why now Gaku has a big old scar going across his face now, because of him forcibly biting into Takamura's sword to break it. Then he grabs onto Takamura and, using the piece of his own katana in his mouth, slashes straight through Takamura's head and through his eye and out the back of his out of his head as well. But in that same instance, Takamura stabs him through the chest with his sword. And I incorrectly thought, that's what did in Gaku. And when that happens after Gaku's basically, we might as well say comatose body, because he wasn't killed. He was just pretty much brought to the edge of dying. He drops to the ground, and then instantly Nagumo and Sakamoto get slashed through by Takamura. And after witnessing Gaku getting downed and Haruma dying, he starts to lose it. And that's in that moment when Takamura goes to kill Uzuki. That's when he takes Takamura's sword and then proceeds to kill him. And that's when Takamura dies. So it was chapter 167 when Gaku had his last fight that we know of. After fighting Takamura and getting beaten by him, now we have Gaku appearing in chapter 263, and he's looking at Uzuki like, okay, so Takamura's in you. All right, then I need you to bring that personality out so I can actually fight him. That's the vibe I'm getting. But that's chapter 263, and we're not going on break. So now, instead of it being like the only threat we have left is Uzuki, now we have Uzuki and Gaku. Gaku's a problem. Wait, does Gaku have a displaced heart like Uzuki does? Not that I'm aware. He gets stabbed straight through his chest, though. And when you look at the most recent chapter, he has a big old bandage going across his entire chest, but we don't exactly see the wound itself. Because he doesn't have a scar going over where his heart is. Normally, where the human heart normally is on the left side, we don't see any bandages covering that. But we do see bandages covering the middle of his chest and going across, like it's heavily bandaged right there in the middle of his chest. So he got stabbed straight through the chest, all the way out through the back, but not in the heart that I see. Because the gauze is more condensed right there in the center of his chest. But Gaku has been unconscious, and I guess in a coma, for everything that's been going on, like the formation of the new JAA and pretty much almost everyone from Alkamar being either dead or heavily incapacitated. Because half of his friends, they're all dead. Pretty much almost all of his friends, actually, you know what? Pretty much everyone except for Kumanomi and Uzuki are still alive. Not counting Tenkyu because they had a falling out. The whole group had a falling out. Well, Uzuki had a falling out with Tenkyu. But pretty much every person that was alive when Gaku was, upright, they're pretty much dead. Save for Kumanomi. Everyone else is dead. Blue Jam, I believe, is gone. Hold on. Let me look that up real quick. Not Blue Jam, Club Jam. Blue Jam is from One Piece. I'm sorry. Club Jam. My bad. Not Blue Jam. Club Jam is incarcerated. Currently incarcerated. Yeah, Club Jam is incarcerated right now. And of course they didn't update the page concerning Club Jam. But Club Jam is incarcerated, leaving Kumanomi the only person from Alkamar that's still alive that took part in this major war. Gozu is dead. Every Carolina Reaper is dead. Haruma is dead. Would Kashima count as his friend too? I actually don't know. Well, he isn't about to be if he soon is. Especially if Kashima wants to make Gaku go to sleep again so that he doesn't interfere what's happening with Sakamoto and Uzuki. Kashima could possibly be living on borrowed time. Because Gaku has the eyes of someone who's like, he's not going to be deterred from finishing a fight or picking up where he last left off. Because last he left off, he was getting stabbed in the chest by Takamura, and he wants to continue that fight and bring it to a close. Gaku does not strike me as a person that gets told, no, you can't fight him, and then he just obeys. He doesn't give me that vibe. So I am very interested. I'm very interested in seeing how that is going to go. Not gonna lie, I think Kashima's dying is a mercy on his part. Given everything that's happened to Kashima, it might be. It might actually be. But that depends on what Gaku does. If we see Gaku out and about despite Kashima, if we see Gaku out and about despite Kashima wanting to put him back under so he doesn't interfere, then that may all but confirm that Gaku made sure that Kashima couldn't stop him. And Gaku doesn't exactly believe in incapacitating. He believes in bludgeoning and killing. That's what Gaku believes in. At least that's his entire fighting style. He fights to kill. He doesn't fight to maim or incapacitate, just a straight up kill. So, if we see Gaku next and he's walking around looking for Uzuki, then Kashima might not be an individual who has a part to play in the story anymore. That's just my assumption, but we'll have to see. Overall, good chapter, but I am just shocked that Gaku is back. Then again, I'm not going to say like, well, they had me fooled into thinking he was dead, because that was just my own assumption back then, thinking like, oh, Gaku's dead. He's just dead, because I had forgotten that whole panel where he only got stabbed through the chest. And he didn't get sliced to pieces. He only got stabbed through the chest. And we've seen many people get stabbed through the chest throughout this story, and they survived. So it was my own foolish headcanon that Gaku has been dead this whole time. But seeing him back, that's another wrench in the works of Sakamoto bringing this to a conclusive end. Because if Sakamoto completely brings down Uzuki, then Gaku is out of an opponent to square off against the old Takamura personality. Mind you, he doesn't realize that the Takamura personality is gone. He doesn't realize that yet. That's gone. I do think we get Gaku versus Nagumo round 2. It feels weird we get Gaku back and Nagumo getting his weapon back in the same chapter with the same objective with the history they have. Yeah, Nagumo wants to end this for Rion, so he's going to head there towards Uzuki. Gaku wants to settle the score with Takamura, and he knows that Uzuki can absorb personalities into himself to perfectly replicate a person, which means that he's going to be heading to Uzuki as well. You got these two individuals that are probably going to meet at a crossroads, and both of them one wants to kill Uzuki. The other one wants to fight Uzuki so he can bring a close to the fight that he literally fell unconscious to. So I feel like there's going to be some resistance from either side, where one doesn't want the other one getting close. Plus, Nagumo got the better of Gaku last time. Yeah, he did. So that would actually bring to Gaku's remembrance like, oh, you got the better of me the last time, and then I lost again to Takamura. So I need to square this matter with you first before I can move up to the old man. So so it seems like the possibilities of Nagumo fighting Gaku have shot up real high now that we can confirm that Gaku is just straight up alive now and fully able to move around. So Nagumo versus Gaku may be very likely. Shin is out of commission. Sure, all of the order has been defeated. All of the order has been defeated. Shin is out of commission. So now we only have Sakamoto and Uzuki, who's currently clashing heavily right now. And now we can add Gaku to the mix, which is incredibly concerning. Wonder how the others are doing? That's actually a good question as well. Like, where's Osaragi? Is she fine? What about, Seba and Kipe, Seba and Natsu and Mafuyu and the Saionji twins? How's everyone else doing? We saw Heisuke, and he's there with Kamihate, and that was during the chapter when, like, Heisuke and everyone else, I just mentioned that. Heisuke is still chilling with Kamihate because we see him in a panel after Tanabata struck that chord that sent out a shockwave. That made everyone hold their ears. Everyone heard it, including Heisuke and Kamihate in that same panel. I believe it was like the panel before, it was the chapter before last. Yeah, it was the chapter before last. Let me go to chapter 261 because I believe that's the one. Yeah, chapter 261. Sorry, not Heisuke. I mean Lou and the old lady. Oh, that one. Yeah, we have not seen Lou and Lady Mia and old lady Mia, Grandma Mia. We haven't seen them in a while. Those are actually people we haven't seen any from at all. Because when that chord hits, we only see Boiled and Kendaka. They heard it. Heisuke and Kamihate. They heard it. Nagumo and Shishiba. They heard it. But we don't see Lou and Grandma and Granny Mia at all. So I actually wonder how they're doing as well. But overall, this is a good chapter. This was a good chapter. I enjoyed this one. I enjoyed this chapter. But Gaku coming back? Yeah. That's her name. Thank you. I forgot. It's all good. I'm here for you. But this was a good chapter. I enjoyed this. Now, mind you, we had a good One Piece chapter here today. This chapter was good. But I feel like One Piece, in terms of how good the chapter was, I feel like One Piece wins out just a little bit on this end. Even though Sakamoto revealing that Gaku is up and about and is alive after getting stabbed by Takamura, that was a shock. That was a shock to me. But I feel like One Piece kind of won it out in terms of just pure shock value and mind-blowingness of the chapters for today, but they were both good. They were both good. They both had surprise. Yeah, just like you said, Halster, they both had surprise elements in them. They both did good. They were both good. They were both good. Yeah. But that's all I got. Time for me to relax just a little bit more. I got an anime episode to do and then finish doing this movie reaction I'm going to be doing as well and get all that sorted out so I can rest. I was still working on that video yesterday, all day, literally yesterday, that I went to sleep because I was so tired. I went to sleep at 8 o'clock and didn't wake up until 6. That I was that tired, but I still got some more to do. But thankfully, it's not as much as it used to be, so it won't take me that much longer. But to everyone here, from Halster to anyone else who watched this reaction of Sakamoto Days, Gaku is back. But for me, I got more questions, and since One Piece is on break next week, the only chapter we're getting is more Sakamoto Days. So it remains to be seen if we continue with the fight of Uzuki and Sakamoto, or if we're cutting to other people and seeing where Gaku intends to go, and Nagumo as well. But we'll find out next week. With that being said, hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Even consider checking me out here on the membership of YouTube or on my Patreon, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. Have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples!